Some names just feel American. Ford and John Deere are two of them. For generations, these companies haven't just built machines, they've built livelihoods and communities. They represent the promise that hard work leads to a good life in America. So when these giants move jobs elsewhere, it's more than a business decision. It's personal. It's about your neighbor at the plant, the farmer down the road, and the small towns built around these factories. When jobs move south of the border or overseas, a shiver runs through entire communities. John Deere recently announced it's shifting tractor cab assembly from Iowa to Mexico. Ford, the company that invented the American assembly line, is also looking to cut costs, often by looking outside our borders. These aren't small changes. These are titans making moves that ripple across the economy. It's about more than balance sheets. It's about what "Made in America" really means. The president's threats of massive tariffs turn this into a high-stakes national drama. Everyone, from CEOs to mechanics, has an opinion. At the heart of it all is a question. What does this mean for our future? The story isn't just about business. It's about identity, loyalty, and the backbone of American life. As the shift whistle fades, so does a piece of the American dream. And the truth? It's tangled somewhere in the middle. Ford and John Deere aren't charities, they're in business to make money. Right now, doing business in America is expensive, high labor costs, pricey materials, and a maze of regulations. John Deere pointed to rising costs and falling demand, so they're building a new plant in Mexico where labor is cheaper. It's a cold calculation, but it's about staying competitive in a global market. Ford isn't just up against GM anymore, they're battling rivals from Japan, Korea, and Europe. To survive, they say, they must make tough choices, move some production to save costs, and invest in higher-value work at home. Ford's electric vehicle push is losing billions, so they're hunting for savings everywhere. Over 80% of Ford vehicles are still made in the US, but the pressure to cut costs is relentless. High domestic costs push them out, global competition pulls them out, and new tech investments force their hand. The companies call it smart business, strategic moves to ensure long-term survival. But for workers, that strategy means pink slips and uncertainty. What's good for the corporation doesn't always feel good for the country. The bottom line? It's a perfect storm of economics, competition, and survival. And the people caught in the middle are left searching for answers. The debate isn't just about numbers, it's about the soul of American industry. And the stakes have never been higher. When a factory moves, it leaves behind more than empty buildings. It leaves behind empty lunch pails and anxious families. John Deere's layoffs hit over 800 workers in Illinois and Iowa, each one a story, not just a statistic. These are skilled workers who've built their lives around these jobs. The impact ripples out. Local diners, shops, mechanics, and hairdressers all feel the loss. When hundreds of good jobs vanish, the whole town suffers. Manufacturing in the US lost 7,000 jobs in June 2025 alone. Each layoff is another crack in the foundation of these communities. We've seen it before. Factories close, towns hollow out, young people leave, and hope fades. The loss isn't just economic, it's psychological, chipping away at pride and identity. For every layoff, 10 more wonder if they're next. Workers see land bought in Mexico and feel betrayed. Corporate talk of global markets translates to one thing: my job isn't safe. This uncertainty is corrosive. It makes it hard to plan, buy a house, or save for college. The real cost isn't just lost jobs, it's sleepless nights and anxious days for thousands. The story repeats, but the pain is always fresh. And the question lingers: what's left when the jobs are gone? When jobs move overseas, President Trump doesn't mince words. For him, it's about loyalty. American companies should build in America, period. His tool of choice? Tariffs. Big, bold, and aimed at companies he sees as betraying American workers. At rallies, he paints executives as getting rich by firing Americans and making products cheaper overseas. He calls it a betrayal, boiling it down to a gut-level appeal. They're choosing another country over you. This message resonates with those left behind by globalization. Trump's administration has wielded tariffs aggressively, 50% on Brazil, threats to Canada, and more. For him, tariffs aren't just economic tools, they're weapons to demand loyalty. His America First approach disrupts decades of trade policy. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act gave some benefits to farmers but slashed other rural programs. Trump's reaction, name a villain, threaten overwhelming force, and demand companies bend to his will. It's a strategy of disruption, and it's changing the rules of the game. President Trump didn't just threaten John Deere, he put a number on it, a 200% tariff if they move production to Mexico. That's a $100,000 tractor slapped with a $200,000 tax at the border. The message: you can't have cheap labor abroad and still sell to American farmers. The goal? Make moving production so painful that companies keep jobs in America. The threat sent shockwaves. John Deere's stock dipped, and business leaders sounded alarms. Mark Cuban called it a way to destroy an American icon, especially when tariffs on China are lower. Are you punishing the company or the American workers and shareholders? Ford's CEO warned that selective tariffs could backfire, helping foreign rivals like Hyundai and Toyota. The result? Extreme uncertainty for companies trying to plan for the future. Tariffs this high could cripple American brands instead of protecting them. The business world is left guessing what comes next, and the stakes for American industry have never been higher. For American farmers, this is a no-win situation. They're patriotic and want jobs to stay here, but they're also business people with razor-thin margins. John Deere's move feels like a betrayal, but farmers are already frustrated over issues like the right to repair. Loyalty to the brand is slipping, down 10% since 2017. A 200% tariff would make new tractors unaffordable, but switching brands isn't easy. Farms are built around one brand's equipment, and John Deere's dealer network is unmatched. Farmers are also worried about tariffs on other countries hurting their crop exports. They need affordable, reliable equipment and stable markets for their grain. The fight between the president and John Deere leaves them anxious and powerless. They're caught between patriotic ideals and harsh economic realities. The choices are tough, and the risks are real. In 2025, the heartland is stuck in the crossfire. For factory workers, the news is a gut punch. These aren't just jobs, they're careers, often passed down through generations. Layoffs shatter the sense of security that built the American middle class. Workers hear talk of global competition, but it doesn't ease the pain. They see profits and new factories abroad while their own jobs disappear. Trump's tough talk resonates. He's seen as fighting for them when no one else will. For workers, it's about fairness. If you want to sell to Americans, build with American hands. But there's fear, too. What if tariffs backfire and lead to even more layoffs? Workers are caught between their employer and their president, with everything on the line. They hope for a solution that keeps their factories open, but hope is in short supply. For buyers, this saga creates a tough choice. Many want to support American companies. Ford's "Built Ford Tough" is more than a slogan. Over 80% of Ford vehicles are made here, and people are willing to pay a bit more for that. But loyalty has limits, especially when budgets are tight. If a foreign competitor offers a similar car for less, it's tempting. Ford and John Deere try to balance American identity with global competitiveness. Trump's tariffs could make American products more expensive, driving buyers to imports. Instead of protecting jobs, tariffs could hurt American brands. Customers are caught between their hearts and their wallets. The economic pressures are real, and the choices aren't easy. In showrooms across America, the debate plays out every day. There's no simple answer, just tough decisions. American manufacturing stands at a crossroads. The choices made by Ford, John Deere, and the government will shape the future for decades. This isn't just about jobs in Iowa, it's about what it means to be an American company. If trends continue, we risk hollowed-out brands and fewer good jobs. Trump's tariff strategy is a high-stakes gamble. If it works, jobs may return. If not, it could cripple iconic companies. The risk: higher prices, trade wars, and more instability. The future depends on finding a sustainable path, balancing global competition with valuing American workers. It's not simple, and it won't be solved by rhetoric alone. Real innovation and smart policy are needed to restore the American dream. The road ahead is uncertain, but the stakes couldn't be higher.